Hi there, Alien fans. Episode 6 of Alien Earth, titled The Fly, just dropped, and wow, it feels like the show has officially hit its stride. After last week's slower, bottle-style story aboard the doomed Maginot vessel, this week brought us back to Prodigy Island, and things are officially spiraling out of control. We got corporate showdowns, family betrayals, shocking hybrid deaths, and yes, a terrifying new alien creature that might be even nastier than the Xenomorphs themselves. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. So let's break this all down, piece by piece, from the political chess match between Boy Kavalier and Utani, to Wendy's identity crisis, Slightly's dark turn, and the brutal ending that sets the stage for an explosive back half of the season. Prodigy Island's growing chaos. The episode wastes no time dropping us back onto Prodigy's Neverland headquarters, and the tension is thicker than ever. Joe is still scheming, trying to figure out a way to get himself and Wendy off the island, but when he finally sits down with her, things don't go as planned. Instead of jumping on board with his escape plan, Wendy drops a bombshell. She doesn't want to leave. Why? Because she's bonded with the Xenomorphs. Yes, you heard that right. Wendy, who has always been caught between her human side and her hybrid side, finally feels a sense of belonging. She tells Joe, "They didn't ask to come here." That line hits hard. In her eyes, these creatures aren't monsters, they're fellow prisoners. Assets, not beings. And she's starting to see herself in them. It's twisted, but it's also deeply sad. Wendy, or should I say Marcy, because that identity crisis is flaring up again, is desperate for connection. And of all things, she finds it with a Xenomorph.
On the island at the end of the day, you'll be trespassing. And you may be shot.
The Sylvias reach their breaking point. Meanwhile, things get messy with Prodigy's husband and wife scientist duo, Arthur and Dame Sylvia. They're ordered by the ever-chilling Adam Ines to perform a memory wipe on Nibs, one of the hybrids. Basically, they're told to erase painful memories and tweak her emotions so she's easier to control. Arthur wants no part of it. He sees it for what it is, fundamentally altering who Nibs is as a person. But Sylvia, she caves, reluctantly, and does it. This moment is heartbreaking, because it's not just about science ethics, it's about a marriage crumbling under pressure. Arthur refuses to sacrifice morality, Sylvia folds to survive, and Adam fires Arthur on the spot. Classic corporate cruelty. And it plants a seed of rebellion in Arthur that plays a huge role later in the episode.
On top of practical damages, and we'll return the specimens at the end of legal quarantine, and...
Cavalier versus Utani, the showdown. Now, let's talk about one of the episode's most electrifying scenes. Boy Kavalier going head-to-head with Utani. The setting is pure corporate warfare. A long negotiation table, a moderator, and two powerhouses ready to claw each other's throats out. And of course, Cavalier shows up late and barefoot, because why not? From the jump, Yutani doesn't take his nonsense. She mocks him, calls him a little boy who's about to be sent to bed without supper, and for a moment, you think she's going to put him in his place. But then, Cavalier does what he does best. Chaotic intimidation. He crawls across the table toward her, smirking and calling her honey, before laying down his insane terms. Prodigy will return Wayland and Yutani's alien assets only after a 6-week quarantine, plus $20 billion in damages. It's an outrageous demand. But here's the kicker. Utani folds. She has no bargaining chips. The crash investigation is exposing WY's shady dealings, and Cavalier knows it. This scene is peak Noah Hawley writing. Absurd, tense, uncomfortable, but also dripping with style. Cavalier's fuzzy-sleeved brocade coat, iconic. Utani's power suit and hat, even better. And the venom between them, absolute gold. I need these two characters sharing more scenes immediately.
You do remember going with Arthur and Dame Sylvia?
Wendy confronts Sylvia. Back on the island, Wendy makes a chilling discovery. Nib's memory has been tampered with. Furious, she storms to Sylvia and demands answers. Sylvia tries to sugarcoat it, saying she only gave Nibs medicine, but Wendy isn't buying it. This is where Wendy's internal war really heats up. On one hand, she rejects Prodigy's control. On the other, she's pulling further into the Xenomorph mindset, insisting she be called Marcy instead of Wendy. And here's the terrifying part. Wendy seems to genuinely believe that the Xenomorph she's bonded with might be good. Fans of the franchise know there is no such thing as a good Xenomorph. But to Wendy, it's not about morality. It's about kinship. She's blurring the line between human and monster, and it's setting her up for a devastating fall. Isaac's horrible lab mistake. Now let's talk about one of the most gruesome sequences in the episode, Isaac's death. Kersh, always calculating, remotely instructs Isaac to handle some routine lab work, feeding the specimens. He warns him to follow protocol to the letter, but of course he ignores that advice. While feeding the sheep, which, don't forget, is controlled by that grotesque T. ocellus parasite, Isaac notices the alien flies in the next cage. Instead of waiting for backup, he goes inside the cage himself, and in classic alien fashion, it all goes horribly wrong. The flies spit acid, melting Isaac's body in seconds. It's brutal, it's disgusting, and it's a perfect reminder of why you never ever break lab protocol in this universe. But hey, without dumb lab decisions, we wouldn't have an Alien franchise, right?
Confidential, but I'll answer what I can.
Is my sister safe here?
Joe and Arthur's desperate alliance. After his firing, Arthur is packing his things when Joe approaches him. The two share a subtle but powerful moment. Arthur can't outright say much. Prodigy is always watching, but he manages to slip Joe the code for boat access and even disables the hybrid tracking system. This is huge. It means Joe might actually have a shot at getting Wendy, Marcy, off the island. Arthur, in his final act of defiance, chooses to help, and it makes his fate all the more tragic. Slightly's villainous turn, because here's where things get dark. Arthur heads to the lab and finds Isaac's melted remains. But he's not alone. Slightly is lurking, and this hybrid, once painted as a troubled misfit, fully steps into villain territory. At first, Slightly tries to use Joe as bait for a facehugger trap. When that doesn't work, he turns his attention to Arthur. While Arthur is distracted, Slightly opens the facehugger cage, locking him inside. And then, in one of the most disturbing moments of the season, the facehugger leaps onto Arthur's face. It's horrifying, it's cruel, and it cements Slightly as one of the season's most dangerous characters. Why would he do this? Well, we learn Morrow threatened Slightly's human family. In desperation, Slightly agreed to deliver him a facehugger. And now, dragging Arthur's body through the air vents, Slightly is making good on that deal. Kersh's silent betrayal. Here's the kicker. Kersh sees it happen. He witnesses Slightly setting up Arthur, letting the facehugger take him, and he says nothing. Here's where things get deliciously complicated. Kersh is a synth, and if alien lore has taught us anything, it's to never trust a synth. His silence could be strategic, manipulative, or part of some larger game. Whatever the case, it doesn't bode well for Cavalier or Prodigy. The ending and what it means. The episode ends with a darkly funny touch. The sheep stares into the camera as Godsmack's "Keep Away" blares. But make no mistake, the tone is anything but light. Prodigy is falling apart. Autumn ends as forcing grotesque changes onto the hybrids. Wendy no longer trusts Sylvia, and she's becoming increasingly attached to the Xenomorph. Joe is still trying to save her, clinging to the belief that his sister is still in there somewhere. Slightly has delivered a host for a Xenomorph embryo straight to Morrow. And Boy Kavalier, despite his $20 billion win, is surrounded by betrayal. The pieces are being set for an inevitable revolt. Prodigy's greed and corruption are catching up with them, and their control over the hybrids is slipping. And with Morrow closing in, Utani watching, and the hybrids rebelling, Neverland is about to erupt into absolute chaos.
Company that's made you obsolete.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Theories. So where does all this leave us? Wendy's bond with the Xenomorph feels like the biggest red flag. Her identity crisis, Marcy versus Wendy, might be the key to either saving or destroying Prodigy. Slightly's betrayal is massive. Delivering Arthur tomorrow with a Xenomorph inside him could unleash something catastrophic on the mainland. Kersh's silence might mean he's playing his own long game. Could he be loyal to Utani? Or is he planning to overthrow Cavalier himself? Boy Cavalier's empire looks strong on paper, but it's crumbling from within. The hybrids are restless, the scientists are fractured, and Joe is plotting escape. The title, The Fly, isn't just about the alien insects. It's about contagion, ideas, betrayals, power struggles spreading through Prodigy like an infection. And if this show continues down this path, we might be heading towards one of the most explosive finales the Alien franchise has ever delivered. our nerdy thoughts. And that's episode 6 of Alien Earth, a grotesque, thrilling, and deeply unsettling chapter that proves this show is not afraid to get messy, both literally and narratively. What do you think is coming next? Will Wendy embrace her human side again, or is Marcy gone for good? Is Kersh secretly plotting Cavalier's downfall? And most importantly, what happens when Morrow finally gets his hands on that facehugger host? Let me know your theories. Because if this episode taught us anything, it's that nobody, not hybrids, not scientists, not even CEOs, are safe in this story. That's it for Alien Earth Episode 6. Things are unraveling fast, and the stage is set for an all-out war on Neverland. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, share your wildest theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's chaos.
What the heck, I'll laugh anyway.